What happens when a live television moment shatters the illusion of control? When laughter freezes, the air tightens, and two icons refuse to back down. In this episode, a routine broadcast turns into a psychological standoff. As Kelly Clarkson finds herself locked in a heated, unscripted clash with Clint Eastwood. No cuts, no rewrites, no safety net. What begins as polite conversation slowly mutates into something far more dangerous. A battle of pride, power, and unspoken resentment that pushes one of them to walk away on live television. This isn't gossip. This isn't rumor. This is a dramatic, cinematic recreation of the moment everything went off script. The cameras roll. Kelly Clarkson sits center stage, relaxed but alert. Her smile practiced, the kind built from years of live television survival. Across from her, Clint Eastwood barely moves. Still, controlled, unreadable. The audience senses it before anyone says a word. Something is off. Kelly leans forward, voice warm, inviting. So, Clint, after all these years in the industry, do you ever feel misunderstood? A harmless question, at least on paper. Clint doesn't answer right away. He studies her. Not hostile, but not friendly either. I don't worry about being understood, he finally says. I worry about people talking when they don't know what they're talking about. A ripple passes through the crowd. Kelly laughs lightly, trying to soften the edge. Fair enough, but conversations like this are how people connect. Clint's jaw tightens. Or how narratives get twisted. The smile on Kelly's face flickers. Just for a second. But the camera catches it. She shifts in her chair. Well, this show's always been about honesty. Clint tilts his head. Honesty works both ways. Silence. Heavy, uncomfortable. The band doesn't play. No cue cards move. The control room freezes. Kelly's producer whispers in her ear. But Kelly doesn't break eye contact. You're saying something without saying it, she says carefully. So say it. Clint exhales through his nose. Slow. Deliberate. Then stop pretending this is a friendly chat, he says. It's an interrogation with applause. A gasp from the audience. Someone laughs nervously. Another coughs. Kelly straightens. Her voice lowers. This is my show. Clint's reply comes instantly. And that's the problem. The temperature in the room drops. Smiles vanish. Every camera zooms in. This is no longer television. This is confrontation. Kelly swallows, not backing down. Then why did you come? Clint leans forward for the first time. Because I was told there'd be respect. A beat. Then Kelly answers. And the line she chooses changes everything. The room doesn't breathe. Kelly's last words hang in the air like shattered glass, sharp enough to cut anyone who moves too quickly. The audience senses it now. This isn't tension you script. This is tension you survive. Kelly adjusts the cue cards in her hand, though she doesn't need them. It's a reflex. Something to anchor herself. Respect, she repeats slowly. You think respect only exists when no one challenges you? Clint's eyes narrow, not in anger, but in calculation. I think respect exists when you don't bait people into defending themselves. A murmur rolls through the crowd. The director signals for a commercial break. Kelly shakes her head. No, we're staying. The signal is ignored. Red lights remain on. Clint lets out a small, humorless chuckle. There it is, he says. The power move. Kelly's voice sharpens. No, this is accountability. Clint leans back, crossing his arms. Accountability is earned, not ambushed. Kelly exhales, nostrils flaring. You've built a career on saying uncomfortable truths. Why is it suddenly a problem when you're on the receiving end? Clint's jaw tightens. Because truth and provocation aren't the same thing. The band remains frozen. The pianist's fingers hover above the keys, unsure whether to play or pray. Kelly shifts in her chair, closer now. This audience deserves honesty. Clint gestures toward the crowd. They came for entertainment, not character assassination. That word lands hard. Kelly's face hardens. Is that what you think this is? she asks. You think I'm here to tear you down? Clint pauses, long enough for the silence to scream. I think you're here to control the narrative, he says, and I don't play roles written by other people. A producer's voice crackles in Kelly's ear again, urgent now. She doesn't acknowledge it. Every narrative you've benefited from, Kelly fires back, was written by someone. Clint leans forward. Yes, and I chose which ones to accept. The audience is dead quiet. Phones stay down. No one dares blink. Kelly stands. The chair scrapes against the floor, loud enough to echo. The audience gasps. This isn't about roles, she says. It's about responsibility. You influence millions, Clint. And when you dismiss conversations like this, you're telling them they don't matter. Clint rises too. Slower, measured. I'm telling them to think for themselves, he says. Something talk shows stopped doing a long time ago. That lands like a slap. Kelly's voice trembles, not weak, but furious. You don't get to insult my platform and hide behind wisdom. Clint steps closer. And you don't get to weaponize empathy. Security shifts at the edges of the stage. The director mouths the word, cut. No one listens. Kelly folds her arms. You came here knowing the questions. Clint shakes his head. I came here expecting dialogue, not traps. Every question isn't a trap just because it challenges you. Not every challenge is honest just because it has applause. Clint shoots back. The audience doesn't clap. They don't dare. Kelly's eyes glisten, not tears, frustration. You think I wanted this? She asks. You think I woke up planning to fight you? Clint's voice softens. No. I think you woke up needing control. That's it. Kelly steps back. A laugh escapes her, brittle, broken. Control? She repeats. You've spent decades controlling silence. Clint's face hardens again. I've spent decades earning it. Kelly points toward the camera. This isn't your set. This is my space. And yet, Clint says calmly, you're the one losing it. The words sting. The audience feels it. So does Kelly. She turns away for a moment, collecting herself. When she turns back, something has shifted. I respect your legacy, she says, but I won't protect it at the cost of my integrity. Clint nods once. Then don't ask me to protect yours. A long beat. Kelly removes her earpiece, lets it fall to the floor. Gasps ripple through the room. This conversation is over, she says, not angry, resolved. Clint watches her. You're walking away? Kelly meets his gaze. No, she says. I'm choosing myself. She turns toward the exit. The camera hesitates, then follows. The audience stands, unsure whether to applaud or mourn. Behind her, Clint remains still, a statue amid chaos. As Kelly reaches the edge of the stage, she stops, turns back one last time. This wasn't supposed to be a fight, she says quietly, but some truths don't fit inside a studio. She walks off. The lights dim slightly. The band still doesn't play. Clint exhales. For the first time, he looks tired. The director finally cuts to black, but the damage, the moment, has already gone live. The red light dies, but the silence doesn't. Backstage feels colder than the studio ever did. The hum of equipment echoes through narrow hallways, cables coiled like discarded thoughts along the floor. Kelly walks fast at first, not running, but not slowing either, her heels striking the concrete with sharp, irregular beats. No applause follows her, no music, just footsteps and breath. A stagehand reaches out instinctively. Kelly! She lifts a hand without turning. Not now. Her dressing room door shuts harder than intended. The lock clicks. Final. Inside, the room smells faintly of makeup and citrus wipes. Mirrors glow under harsh bulbs. Kelly braces both hands against the vanity, staring at her reflection like it belongs to someone else. Her chest rises. Falls. Too fast. She laughs once. A short, disbelieving sound. Unreal, she mutters. Outside, the studio is chaos wrapped in professionalism. Producers shout in low voices. Assistants check phones already, lighting up with notifications. Social media clips are spreading faster than anyone can track. On stage, Clint Eastwood remains seated long after the cameras stop. The audience has been ushered out, their whispers trailing behind them like smoke. He stares at the empty chair across from him. The absence speaks louder than any argument. A producer approaches carefully. "Mr. Eastwood, He raises a hand. "I know." His voice isn't angry, it's heavy. He stands, joints protesting quietly, and adjusts his jacket. For a moment, he looks every bit his age, not the icon, not the legend, just a man who walked into a room, expecting control, and found resistance instead. In the control room, playback loops silently on a monitor. Kelly standing, Clint leaning forward, the earpiece hitting the floor. Over, and over, and over. "Do we issue a statement?" someone asks. "Whose?" Another snaps back. Kelly's phone buzzes inside her bag. Once, twice. She ignores it. She sinks into the chair, hands trembling now. The adrenaline is fading, leaving behind something rawer. Doubt tries to creep in, sharp, familiar. Did I go too far? She shakes her head. "No," she whispers. "No." A knock at the door. Gentle this time. "Kelly," her executive producer says softly from the other side. "Can we talk?" She doesn't answer right away. Then, "Give me 5. Outside, Clint walks down the hallway in the opposite direction. Crew members step aside, unsure whether to look at him or away. He nods to no one in particular. His phone vibrates, a text from an old friend. "That was rough. You okay?" He types, deletes, types again. "I'm fine." He stops near a quiet corner, leaning briefly against the wall. His reflection stares back at him in a darkened monitor. Older, sterner, but thoughtful. "She wasn't wrong," he murmurs to himself, "and neither was I." In Kelly's dressing room, the producer finally enters. He closes the door gently behind him. "You just made history," he says. Kelly scoffs. "Or a mess." "Both," he admits. "But you stood your ground." She looks up at him. "At what cost?" He hesitates. "That depends on who's telling the story." Her phone buzzes again. This time, she looks. Headlines are already forming. Clips are trending. Opinions splitting like fault lines. She locks the screen. "I didn't walk off because of him," she says quietly. "I walked off because I couldn't keep pretending." The producer nods. "I know." A long pause. Across the building, Clint steps outside into the night air. The city hums around him, indifferent. He breathes deep, the cool, cutting through the heat of the studio. A reporter across the street spots him, calls out his name. He stops, turns. "What happened in there?" she asks. "Did Kelly Clarkson disrespect you?" He considers the question, then answers honestly. "No," he says. "She challenged me." The reporter blinks. "That's it?" "That's enough," Clint replies and walks away. Kelly leaves through a side exit minutes later, hood pulled up, lights flashing briefly as her car pulls away. She watches the studio disappear in the rearview mirror. Her phone rings. Unknown number. She lets it ring, then answers. "Kelly," Clint's voice says. Calm, measured. She closes her eyes. "Clint." A beat. "You didn't have to leave," he says. "Yes," she replies. "I did." Another pause. He respects that. "I didn't come to hurt you," he says. "I came because I thought I could still talk without being boxed in." "I didn't box you in," Kelly says. "I opened the door." Silence stretches between them. Not hostile now, just human. "You were brave," Clint finally says. Kelly exhales. "So were you." They hang up. No apologies, no winners. Just truth. The next morning, the world argues. Talk shows dissect. Clips replay. Sides form. But somewhere beneath the noise, something quieter resonates. A moment where two powerful voices refused to soften themselves for comfort. Kelly sits alone at her kitchen table, coffee untouched, sunlight spilling across the floor. She watches the clip once, then turns it off. Clint feeds his dog, newspaper folded under his arm, the headline staring back at him. He doesn't read it. Both move forward, changed, unbowed. Because some moments aren't meant to be resolved. They're meant to be remembered. The noise doesn't fade. It mutates. By midday, the moment has become a weapon, clipped, captioned, slowed down, sped up, stripped of context, and dressed in outrage. Every frame is dissected. Every pause becomes evidence. Every breath is assigned intention. Kelly watches none of it. She sits in a quiet conference room at the studio the next day, sunlight filtered through frosted glass. The table is too long. The chairs too far apart. Her team files in one by one, careful with their expressions, like people entering a room where something has already died. A lawyer clears his throat. A walk-off mid-broadcast carries implications. Kelly nods. I know. A publicist slides a tablet across the table. Half the audience thinks you're a hero. The other half thinks you lost control. Kelly doesn't touch the tablet. Which half am I supposed to care about? No one answers. Across town, Clint sits alone in a quiet office, walls lined with photographs that chart decades of authority. Awards, stills, moments frozen in triumph. He stares at none of them. Instead, he watches a muted television replay the confrontation yet again. He turns it off. His assistant hovers nearby. Studios are calling. They want statements, interviews, clarifications. Clint exhales slowly. Silence is my statement. That might be interpreted. I'm aware, he cuts in, and I'm comfortable with it. Back at the studio, Kelly finally speaks again. I won't apologize for refusing to perform comfort, she says, but I also won't pretend it didn't hurt. That admission shifts the room. This isn't defiance. It's honesty. We can shape the narrative, the publicist says carefully, or we can let it shape us. Kelly stands. Then we tell the truth. The truth is messy. It doesn't fit inside headlines. Later that afternoon, Kelly returns to the stage alone. The lights are off. The chairs sit exactly where they were left. Her chair, his chair, the empty space between them still charged. She sits where Clint sat. For the first time, she sees it from his side. The cameras, the crowd, the pressure to respond without blinking. Her jaw tightens. So that's what it felt like, she whispers. Miles away, Clint drives without destination, hands steady on the wheel. He passes places that once welcomed him without question. Today, billboards carry his face beside words like controversy and walkout. He doesn't flinch. At a stoplight, his phone buzzes. A message from Kelly. Not long, not dramatic. I understand now. He stares at it, types, deletes, then sends. So do I. The world keeps shouting. They don't. Days pass, then weeks. The show returns to air. Kelly opens with a different energy, quieter, firmer, less eager to please. The audience feels it immediately. So do the guests. Some lean in, others pull away. Ratings spike, then stabilize. Clint declines appearances. When he finally speaks publicly, it's at a small event, no cameras invited. Someone asks him if he regrets going on the show. He answers without hesitation. No? Even after what happened? Especially after what happened. Kelly receives the clip later. She smiles. Just barely. One evening, long after the noise has dulled into background static, Kelly sits alone again, this time at a piano. She presses a single key, lets it ring. Then another. Music doesn't argue, it reveals. She writes without thinking, not about the fight, about the moment before it, the tension, the truth she almost swallowed. Across the city, Clint watches the sun dip below the horizon, shadows stretching long across his yard. He thinks about the line he crossed, and the one she refused to. For the first time in a long while, he feels something like respect that isn't demanded. Months later, someone asks Kelly in an interview what she learned from that night. She pauses. long enough to make people uncomfortable. That strength doesn't always look calm, she says, and leaving isn't weakness when staying means lying. The interviewer nods, unsure what to do with that. In a separate interview, Clint is asked the same question. He answers simply, "Authority that can't be questioned isn't authority, it's fear." The clips never play them side by side, but they might as well, because the moment wasn't about who won, it was about who refused to shrink. And long after the audience stopped arguing, long after the headlines moved on, that refusal remained. Quiet, unapologetic, unforgettable.